morning, Idaho. Hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on when you're listening to this. Welcome to the Local Yokel Idaho podcast, where we talk about what is going on in the wonderful state of Idaho. Hope you had a wonderful New Year's. I most certainly did. I know I didn't stay up late. I know some people really did, and other people kind of at my church when I went in Sunday were making fun of me about, not being up super late for the New Year's. But I was like, hey, I'm not the one falling asleep. You're the one that's going to fall asleep in the pews listening to the sermon this Sunday. But I know some people like that. For me, I end up not being up super late because I want to get to rest, and then the new day, the first year of the new year, I can be well rested and alert and awake and ready to enjoy the joys of a new year and be focused and clear-minded. But for some people, I understand it's a bigger thing. I know for it to celebrate, I went out with my sisters and we went out to a dance with a group that we regularly do stuff with and did that, and that was really fun. We did count in the new year, but we did it on Eastern time. That way we were done at 10, so we could be off the roads if there was any really crazy, more intoxicated people, which on that note, hope you all responsibly, for those that had alcohol, responsibly consumed your alcohol and didn't go over the board. But I know some people probably did, and hopefully that lesson was learned there. Sorry for last week not having the morning banter like I usually had. It came more down to crunch time. I was literally editing the podcast less than 30 minutes before it went up. And so I was sitting there, I was like, I could either record the morning banter and then spend another probably 30 to an hour working on this and getting this ready to go out and everything, or I could just be done with it, finish up all the little knick-knacky things, publish it, and just be done. And so I decided, nope, I'm done, I'm good. We're just going to have to skip that this week. I can't think of anything I want to talk about. I really don't want to be recording right now. I'm done. Let's get this done. And so I published it. So I'm sorry about that. But yes, I got the banter this week. Sorry about that and everything. But there are some cool things coming. I can't talk about all of them, but one of them is you guys being a little bit more involved in the podcast, which comes down to events, stories, and kind of news stuff. So if there's an event that you want to share on the podcast, I want you guys to kind of reach out and let me know about that. If there's something in your local area or something that you attend that you wish more people knew about in your area or in general, then reach out. I mean, the biggest criteria is that you please send me a public listing of the event that's available somewhere. If that's a Facebook page, or maybe if that's a Discord, or if that's actually a website that the event has or something, then could you send that to me? Contact info for the event for whoever's the organizer or whoever's making that event or thing. At the time and place, of course, and then your name, because I want you guys to get credit for those that share and come in, answer those stuff and bring that to me. They can be blah, 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 shared this event. And, it adds to that. I want to give back to you in that small way for adding that to the podcast. And then secondly, for news, just send me an article to kind of back it up, or a recording if you were actually at the event or whatever, what happened and when, and then your name there again to kind of give credit where credit's due. Because, with this whole element, I want you guys to be involved in the podcast. And as much as I do, as much diligence as I try to do research and to find out events and different stuff, it's not going to compete nearly as well as you guys engaging and sending me events that are happening in your area. Because, even though I'm just covering one state, Idaho is a big state, and there's a lot of things I have no doubt that are going on that don't cross over the radar. But with your guys' support, it helps and really grows that and builds a far richer experience and far more details for you and the people around you and the people around the state, building a broader picture. The podcast is only as good as you guys make it. I can try my best to find all this stuff, but it will be way better based on you guys adding to it and helping out. And I want you to be involved in that and to help adding those details and things. Yeah, I want you guys involved. And then secondly, I wanted to say thank you. I will admit, in the last month of 2022, in December, we definitely saw our numbers in viewership go up, and regular and consistent viewership. I hope that continues on in the new year. It's really encouraging to see that we're kind of growing slowly. Not massively. We didn't have a giant, 20 view jump or something, but definitely some increased viewership. And it was really encouraging to see. And I want to thank you for that, because that means a lot to see that people are enjoying it, and then it's growing, and then it's being shared around. and that you guys all enjoy it. And, if there's things I can improve, please do message, do send stuff in, and I will listen to it and respond to it and see what I can do to change or improve different elements of it. I know there's been a gal over in Twin Falls that mentioned some stuff like the timestamp readout that I added, that I was thinking about that, but she also mentioned it, and I was like, yeah, I really should do that, and it kind of pushed me to get that out a little sooner and set up. And so things like that, it just helps a lot. It's really encouraging to hear from you guys, and it's cool to see that you're enjoying it. But we'll jump into the rest of the podcast here. Starting off with holidays and interesting events for the week, we have Monday, the 9th of January, which is National Balloon Ascension Day, Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, Clean Off Your Desk Day, and National Static Electricity Day. As for in history, in 1909, Ernest Shackleton reached the furthest recorded south latitude. In 1941, 6,000 Jews were murdered in a pogrom in Bucharest, Romania. In 1959, Rawhide premiered. In 1969, the first trial flight of the supersonic Concorde jetliner happened in Bristol, England. And lastly, in 2007, Steve Jobs announced the iPhone. As for birthdays, Monday was Richard Nixon's birthday and is Jimmy Page's 78th birthday, Dave Matthews' 55th birthday, and Katie Middleton's 40th birthday. As for deaths, Monday in 1873, Napoleon III died. In 1966, Albert Stevens died. And lastly, in 2002, Bob Saget died. Tuesday, the 10th of January is National Houseplant Appreciation Day, which, one of my favorite, love my houseplants. Cut Energy Cost Day, and National Bittersweet Chocolate Day. As for in history, in 49 BC, Julius Caesar defied the Roman Senate and crossed the Rubicon. In 1776, Common Sense pamphlet by Thomas Paine was published. In 1839, the first tea arrived in England from India. In 1946, the UN General Assembly met for the first time in London. And lastly, in 1958, Jerry Lewis's Great Balls of Fire reached first on the UK's pop charts list. As for birthdays, Tuesday was Ethan Allen's, Frank Jamieson's, and George Washington Carver's birthday, and is Rod Stewart's 77th and George Foreman's 73rd birthday. As for deaths, Tuesday in 1778, Carl Linnaeus died. In 1862, Samuel Colt died. In 1983, Roy DeMeo died. And lastly, in 2016, David Bowie died. Moving on to Wednesday, the 11th of January is National Milk Day and Human Trafficking Awareness Day. As for in history, in 1569, the first recorded lottery happened in England in the St. Paul's Cathedral. In 1838, the first public demonstration of a telegraph message was done at the Speedwell Ironworks in Morristown, New Jersey. In 1879, the Anglo-Zulu War began between the British and the Zulans. Lastly, in 1949, the first ever snowfall was recorded in Los Angeles. As for birthdays, Wednesday was Alexander Hamilton's, William Jameson's, and Rod Taylor's birthday. As for deaths, Wednesday in 1879, Gail Borden died. In 1914, Ambrose Bierce died. In 1991, Carl David Andersons died. In 2008, Edmund Hillary died. And lastly, in 2015, Anita Ekberg died. Thursday, the 12th of January is National Pharmacist Day. As for in history, just one. In 1966, Batman, starring Adam West and Burt Ward and Cesar Romero, debuted on ABC. As for birthdays, Thursday was Hermann Göring's and Joe Frazier's birthday, and is Howard Stern's 68th and Jeff Bezos' 58th birthday. As for deaths, Thursday in 1879, Isaac Pittman died. In 1976, Agatha Christie died. In 2001, Bill Hewlett died. Lastly, in 2017, William Peter Blattley died. Moving on to Friday, Friday the 13th of January is National Rubber Ducky Day and Korean American Day. As for in history, in 1930, the first Mickey Mouse comic strip appeared. In 1943, Adolf Hitler declared total war against the Allies. And lastly, in 2000, Bill Gates stepped down as CEO of Microsoft. As for birthdays, Friday was Rip Taylor's birthday. And is Julia Louis-Dreyfus 61st, Patrick Dempsey's 56th, Orlando Bloom's 45th, and Liam Hemsworth's 39th birthday. As for deaths, Friday in 1864, Stephen Foster died. In 1929, Wyatt Earp died. In 1941, James Joyce died. And lastly, in 1978, Herbert Humphrey died. Saturday, the 14th of January is National Ratification Day, Dress Up Your Pet Day, and World Logic Day. As for in history, in 1641, the United East India Company conquered the city of Malacca. In 1761, the Third Battle of Panipat happened. In 1784, the U.S. Congress of the Confederation ratified the Treaty of Paris, ending the Revolutionary War. In 1943, Franklin D. Roosevelt traveled to Miami to Morocco to meet with Winston Churchill. This was the first time an American president had traveled overseas by airplane. As for birthdays, Saturday was Mark Antony's and Benedict Arnold's birthday, and is Steven Soderbergh's 59th birthday. As for deaths, Saturday in 1742, Edmund Halley died. In 1898, Lewis Carroll died. In 1957, Humphrey Bogart died. In 1977, Anthony Eden died. In 1984, Ray Kroc died. And lastly, in 2016, Alan Rickman died. Lastly, we come to Sunday, the 15th of January, which is National Bagel Day, Strawberry Ice Cream Day, and National Hat Day. Ooh, Hat Day, this will be fun. As for in history, in 1535, King Henry VII declared himself the head of the church in England. In 1559, Elizabeth I was crowned Queen of England. In 1759, the British Museum opened in London. In 1943, the world's largest office building, the Pentagon, was finished to house the U.S. military. And lastly, in 2001, Wikipedia was launched. As for birthdays, Sunday was Joan of Arc's and Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. As for deaths, Sunday in 1947, Elizabeth Short died. In 1983, Meyer Lansky died. And lastly, in 1994, Harry Nielsen died. Moving on into upcoming events, I'm going to read the timestamps for each town. That way you can jump to whichever town you're interested in, thus saving you time. Starting off with Boise at 17 minutes 2 seconds, Meridian at 19 minutes 1 second, Nampa at 19 minutes 46 seconds, Caldwell at 20 minutes 30 seconds, Weiser at 21 minutes 30 seconds, Eagle at 22 minutes 11 seconds, Kuna at 23 minutes 34 seconds, Emmett at 23 minutes 56 seconds, Twin Falls at 24 minutes 9 seconds, Pocatello at 25 minutes 22 seconds, Idaho Falls at 27 minutes 45 seconds, Rexburg at 28 minutes 49 seconds, McCall at 30 minutes 3 seconds, Cascade at 31 minutes 15 seconds, Lewiston at 32 minutes 17 seconds, Moscow at 33 minutes 27 seconds, Coeur d'Alene at 34 minutes 15 seconds, Post Falls at 34 minutes 57 seconds, Sandpoint at 25 minutes 32 seconds, and the ending of events is at 36 minutes 6 seconds. Boise, got a couple city events here. Monday, there's the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting at 5:45 p.m. at Boise City Hall. Tuesday, there is a City Council work session and meeting at Boise City Hall. The work session is at 3 p.m. and the meeting is at 6 p.m. Wednesday, there is a Library Board of Trustees meeting at 11:30 a.m. at the main library. And then Wednesday, there is a Design Review Committee meeting at 5:30 p.m. I didn't have the location, so I'm assuming that is also at City Hall. As for performances, Thursday, there's the Boise State's women's basketball team is going up against Colorado State. They said it was at 1:30 a.m., but I think they meant p.m. because I don't think most people want to get up that early. But it is at the Extra Mile Arena. Then Friday, there is a Gods of Comedy performance from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Boise Little Theater. As for fun things, there is an exhibit called Slime at the Discovery Center. It is an exhibit covering about 3,000 square feet, teaching about non-Newtonian fluids. It ends February 5th. Then Tuesday, there is a painting fun event from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Wood Creation Boutique. Saturday, there is a late night comedy open mic at 10:30 p.m. at the Mad Swede. Then also Saturday, there's an art event called Sketch on Location from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at 212 East 33rd Street, Garden City. And in other events, Sunday, there is an open house and tours at the Boise Depot starting at 11 a.m. It is free for the public. And then Thursday and Friday, there is the 2023 Idaho Legislative Reception event at 1 p.m., or not 1 p.m., at 6 p.m. Thursday and 7:30 p.m. on Friday at 505 West Bannock Street. And then lastly, Friday, there is an avalanche awareness presentation from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the Dennis Dillon RV store. For more information about anything I talked about, go to the Boise City website or check the links in the description below. Meridian, just one city event here. Tuesday, there is a city council work session and public hearing at the council chambers. The work session is at 4:30 p.m. and the public hearing is at 6 p.m. As for fun stuff, I've got one here. Monday, there's the Meridian Night Chess Club from 12:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. at the Meridian Public Library. As for other events, Tuesday, there is the Golden Eagle Audubon Society presentation at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Idaho Outdoor Association Hall. It is free for the public to attend. They'll be talking about the society and other bird-related topics. And then Saturday, there is a used book sale from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Meridian Public Library. For more information on anything I talked about, go to the Meridian City website or check the link in the description below. Nampa got two city events. Monday, there is an Airport Commission meeting from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. at 112 North Pilatus Lane, Nampa. That is Pilatus Lane. Then next Tuesday, January 17th, there is a city council meeting from 5:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the council chambers. As for performances, Thursday, there is the Boise Philharmonic is doing a free concert from 4:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Nampa Public Library. And lastly, in other events, Wednesday and Thursday, from Wednesday to Thursday, there is an RV show from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. on each one of those days at the Ford Idaho Center. For more information about anything I talked about, go to the Nampa City website or check the link in the description below. Caldwell got a couple city events here. Monday, there is an Urban Renewal Agency meeting from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Caldwell Police Station. Wednesday, there's a Hearer Examiner meeting from 1:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the Caldwell Police Station. And then next Tuesday, January 17th, there's a City Council meeting from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Caldwell Police Station. As for fun stuff, Wednesday, there is an after-school cardboard construction event from 1:30 p.m. at the Caldwell Public Library. Then Thursday, there is a read a book event from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the Caldwell Public Library. And then lastly, Thursday, there is an ice cream making event from 4:30 p.m. at the Caldwell Public Library. And in other events, Saturday, there is a defense carry course from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Best Western Plus Inn in Caldwell. The course is $29.99 a person. For more information on anything that I talked about, go to the Caldwell City website or check the link in the description below. Weezer got a little bit more than just the programming class. Friday, there's the 4-H outside box skillet camp from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at the University of Idaho. It is for youth 8 to 13 and is $15 a student. They'll be doing some different cooking stuff with skillets and things. And then Wednesday, there is the 4-H Programming After School Series from 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. at 116 West Idaho Street. They'll be learning about computer science while doing that through game programming. It is an ongoing event and is $35 for the program for the year. I don't know how that quite carries over, but that's how it works. For more information on anything we talked about, go to the Weezer City website or check the link in the description below. Eagle got a bunch of city events here. Tuesday, there is a city council meeting at 5:30 p.m. at the council chambers. Also Tuesday, there is a public hearing at 6 p.m. at the council chambers on the City of Eagle in cooperation with GWC Capital. Then moving on to Wednesday, there is Coffee with the Mayor from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. at the council chambers. Also Wednesday, there is a Historic Preservation Commission meeting at 5:30 p.m. at the council chambers. Then Thursday, there is the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council meeting from 3:45 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the council chambers. Also Thursday, there is a Design Review Board meeting at 6 p.m. at the council chambers. Then moving on to next Tuesday, January 17th, there is an Eagle Urban Renewal Agency meeting from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the council chambers. Also, January 17th, next Tuesday, there is a public hearing at 6 p.m. at the council chambers on Avimmer Development, Spring Valley Livestock, and First American Title and Dual Beneficiary Trust. And then lastly, next Tuesday, January 17th, there is a special Planning and Zoning Commission meeting at 6 p.m. to 11:50 p.m. at the council chambers. Not anything in fun or performances, but in other. Wednesday, there is a Read What You Want book club from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Eagle Public Library. For more information about anything talked about, go to the Eagle City website or check the link in the description below. CUNA didn't have anything for city, but I do have one thing for performance. Saturday, there is an event called Power and Music Dance Winter Showcase from 12:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the CUNA High School. It is a performance of the kids there. They will be dancing and singing performances. It is $5 a person. For more information about that event, check the link in the description below. Emmett, nothing for city, but I did have one event here in other. Monday, there is a Alzheimer's disease group meeting at 6 p.m. at the Cottage of Emmett. For more information about that, check the link in the description below. Twin Falls got a couple of city events here. Monday, there is a Historic Preservation Commission meeting from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. The location is not stated for any of these events. Monday, there is a City Council meeting from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Tuesday, there is a Park and Recreation Commission meeting from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Tuesday, there is a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And then lastly, next Tuesday, January 17th, there is a City Council meeting from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. As for performances, Brian Hildreth will be performing at 6 p.m. at the 2nd South Market. As for fun stuff, Wednesday, there is a Magic Valley Young Professional Trivia Night event from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at 156 Main Avenue North, Twin Falls. And in other events, Monday, there is a defense carry course from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn. The course is $29.99 a person. And then lastly, Wednesday and to Friday, there is the Southern Idaho Ag Expo at the College of Southern Idaho Ag Expo Center. For more information on anything I talked about, go to the Twin Falls City website or check the link in the description below. Pocatello got a bunch of city events here. Monday, there is the Pocatello Mayor's Youth Advisory Council meeting from 3:15 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. at the council chambers. Also Monday, there's the Human Relations Advisory Committee meeting from 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at the council chambers. Then moving on to Tuesday, there is a regional airport commission meeting from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. at 1950 Airport Way, Pocatello. Also Tuesday, there is a site planning review meeting from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. at City Hall. And then Tuesday, there is a Chamber of Commerce meeting from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., location not stated. And then moving on to Wednesday, there is a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the council chambers. Then Thursday, there is a hearing examiner meeting from 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at the council chambers. Then next Tuesday, January 17th, there is a CDBG advisory committee meeting from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. at the council chambers. Also next Tuesday, January 17th, there is a site planning review meeting from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. at City Hall. And then lastly, next Tuesday, January 17th, there is a library board meeting from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the Marshall Public Library. As for performances, Saturday, there is the second annual Greater Idaho Trumpet Guild Festival from 8:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the Stevens Performing Arts Center. Then next Wednesday and Thursday, there is the 2023 Idaho Potato Conference from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Idaho State University Student Union Building. It is $40 a person. As for fun stuff, Friday, there is a student craft night from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Pond Student Union Building. They'll be making cleaning slime. Then Friday, there is a building blanket event from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Pond Union Building. They'll be making fleece blankets. And then next Wednesday, January 18th, there is Lodom in the Dark Team roping event from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Bannock County Event Center. In other events, Tuesday, there is a lecture about improving vegetation along Idaho roadways. It is from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Idaho Museum of Natural History. And then lastly, Friday, there is a ladies concealed carry class from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Sportsman's Warehouse. For more information on any things I talked about, go to the Pocatello City website or check the link in the description below. Idaho Falls, nothing for city, but I have one thing here for fun. Sunday, there is a Read and Mingle Book Club from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at 109 West 7th Street, Idaho Falls. And other events, Wednesday, there is the 2023 Organic Gardening class from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the CHE building at University Place, room 221. They will be going over gardening planning. It is a multiple course thing, so this will be their first one, and then they kind of have them spaced out across. I will report to those if I see them. And then Wednesday, there is a copyright workshop from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at 330 Shoup Avenue, SHOUP Avenue, Idaho Falls. It is free. And then lastly, Wednesday, there is a strength-based leadership class from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the Idaho Innovation Center. The class is $199 a person. For more information about anything talked about, go to the Idaho Falls City website or check the link in the description below. Rexburg, nothing for city, but as for fun events, Tuesday there is an art exploration event at 3 p.m. for kids at the City Hall. It will be put on by the Rexburg Arts. You will need to register. Then Tuesday as well, there's an event called Creative Corner. It is at 4:30 p.m. at City Hall. It is for youth ages 5 to 12. You will need to register. Then moving on to Thursday, there is an intro to watercolor class for adults at 7 p.m. at City Hall. You will need to register for that as well. Also Thursday, there is an intro to improv class for adults at 7:30 p.m. at the Romance Theater. That one you will also need to register for. In other events, Wednesday, there is a musical theater for kids at 4:30 p.m. at the Romance Theater. It is for kids between the ages of 8 to 11, and you will also need to register for that. Also Wednesday, there is a musical theater for adults at 5:30 p.m. at the Romance Theater. Also Wednesday, there is a musical theater thing for adults as well at 5:30 p.m. at the Romance Theater. And then lastly, Thursday, there is an open studio for adults at City Hall at 10 a.m., but you also need to register for all the ones that I talked about. For more information on any things I talked about, go check the link in the description below. McCall got a couple of city events here. Monday, there is a Historic Preservation Commission meeting at 4:30 p.m. at Legion Hall. Then also Monday, there is a Library Board of Trustees meeting at 10 a.m. at Legion Hall. Wednesday, there is a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting at 4:30 p.m. at Legion Hall. Wednesday, there's a Golf Advisory Committee meeting at 4 p.m. at the McCall Golf Course. And then lastly, next Tuesday, January 17th, there is a McCall Redevelopment Agency meeting at 8 a.m. at Legion Hall. As for fun events, Wednesday, there is Yahtzee from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at Bistro 45. In other events, Wednesday there is an event called Cabin Fever Class from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the McCall Public Library. Looks like they'll be discussing a book called All the Light You Cannot See, and I think they're going to have the author there, maybe not, and I think there's some books for sale and stuff like that. There's also a cross-country skiing and snowshoeing available at the Meadow Creek Golf Resort from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. For an adult day pass, it is $10, and for youth, it is $5. It will be going until April 30th. For more information on anything talked about, go to the McCall City website or check the link in the description below. Cascade, a lot more stuff in here than usual. Tuesday, the Horseshoe Bend High School Mustangs and the Cascade High School Scramblers girls basketball teams will be competing at 4:30 p.m. at the Cascade High School. Then Saturday, there is an SBA Snow Bike Association Championship event at Warm Lake Road on the Davis Ranch. Then as for fun stuff, Friday there is a dinner from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at American Legion. Then also Friday there is a swing dance class from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. It is free for all ages to attend. It will be happening at the Valley Club building. It will be on country and line dance. If you have any questions, call Steve at 208-861-8486. Friday there is bingo at the Senior Center this Friday from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And then Thursday, there is a soup and scripture event from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Cascade Community Church. For more information on any of the events talked about, go to the Cascade City website or check the link in the description below. Lewiston, just one city event Monday. There is a PLAS project subcommittee meeting at 10 a.m. at the Bell Building. As for fun stuff, Tuesday, there is the Tuesday at the library from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. They'll have snacks, and there will be a Smash Bros. Video game tournament, plus some other fun stuff. Wednesday, there's an after-school juniors master gardening learning class from 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. at the Lewiston Library. You will need to register for that. Saturday, there is a miniature library craft event from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the Lewiston Library. They'll be making like little craft miniature libraries with different crafts and stuff there. Then lastly, next Tuesday, January 17th, there is a houseplant cure and propagation class from 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at the Lewiston Library. And in other events, Thursday, there is a quilt with coral from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the Lewiston Library. You will need to register for that. Lastly, Thursday, there is an after-school create art class from 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. at the Lewiston Library. You will need to register for that. For more information on any of the events talked about, go to the Lewiston City website or check the links in the description below. Moscow got a couple events here. As for performances, this isn't kind of a performance, but it works for that. Tuesday, there is an LEAD Blue Drive event from 1100 to 1800 at the Best Western Plus University Inn. As for fun events, Tuesday, there is the Tuesday T-Birds Book Club meeting at 2 p.m. at the Moscow Public Library. Then Wednesday, there is the second Wednesday story time at 5:15 p.m. at the Moscow Public Library. It is a story time for all ages and families. Then Thursday, there is an intro to crocheting class at 7 p.m. at the Yarn Underground. You will need to register for that. And then lastly, Thursday, there is an event called Getting Started as a Voice Actor. It is at 8 p.m. at the Trinity Reformed Church. For more information on anything we talked about, go to the Moscow City website or check the link in the description below. Coeur d'Alene, no other events but city events, so I'll just get through them here. Monday, there is a General Service/Public Works Committee meeting at 12 p.m. at the library. Also Monday, there is a CDA TV committee meeting at 8 a.m. at City Hall. Then Tuesday, there is a Parks Commission meeting at 3 p.m. at City Hall. Also Tuesday, there is a Planning Commission meeting at 5:30 p.m. at the library. Then Thursday, there is a Historic Preservation Commission meeting at 5:30 p.m. at City Hall. And then lastly, next Tuesday, January 17th, there is a City Council meeting at 6 p.m. at the library. For more information about anything talked about, go to the Coeur d'Alene City website or check the links in the description below. Post Falls, not a ton of stuff here, but still some stuff. Tuesday, there is a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting from 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. at City Hall. Then next Tuesday, January 17th, there is a City Council workshop and meeting. The workshop is from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. and the meeting is from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The location is not stated, but I assume it's at City Hall. In other events, Saturday, there is a Wilderness First Aid class from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. at Cabela's. For more information about anything talked about, go to the Post Falls City website or check the link in the description below. Sandpoint got a couple events here. Wednesday, there is a showing of Some Like It Hot, a 1959 vintage film at 7 p.m. at the Pineda Theater. You will need to buy tickets for that. Then Saturday and next Monday, there is the Northern Lights fireworks spectacle at 6 p.m. I couldn't quite deduce where it's at, but I think it's at like some skiing resort around there. And then Saturday, there is a comedy avalanche event at 7:30 p.m. at the Pineda Theater. You will need to buy tickets for that as well. For more information on any things talked about, go to the link in the description below. Starting off here with the first story, we have Caldwell sexual orientation policy. This comes by KTVB7 by Aaron Banks Rusby. So there's a lot to unpack here. I didn't know this meeting was happening, or I would have published it in events, but here is an overview of what's going on. If you're frustrated or curious, I would please ask you to look into it more. With that said, Thursday, there was a Caldwell School Board meeting where they considered policy 3281, gender identity and sexual orientation. The proposal is still being vetted according to Jessica Watts. The following is a quote from the policy manual, which I have linked below. 1. Definitions. 2. School facilities. 2.1. In case of minor students who wish to use different school facilities based on the gender identity they most express at school, then the parents/guardians or students shall request to meet with the principal or building administrator. The goal of the meeting is to develop an understanding of that student's needs with respect to their gender identity. A plan will be developed in the best interest of the student and will be signed by all parties involved, noting the consensus and any dissenting opinions. 2.2. Based on the plan, students may use the restrooms and locker rooms that correspond to their gender identity they consistently express at school. No student will be required to use facilities that conflict with his or her gender identity consistently expressed at school. A transgender student or any other student who has need or desire for increased privacy may be given the option to use a separate or private restroom or changing area, while the planning team will identify what students, parents/guardians are most comfortable using. No student shall, on account of their transgender status, be required to use such separate facilities. 3. School activities. 3.1. Activities under the direction of the Idaho School Activities Association, IHSAA, shall be subject to ISAA rules and regulation. Otherwise, the district will provide all students the opportunity to participate in any events segregated by gender in a manner that is consistent with their gender identity and consistently expressed at school. Middle school activities shall also follow IHSAA rules and regulations. 4. School trips. 4.1. In no case will a student be denied the right to participate in any overnight trips because of that student's sexual orientation. 4.2. In no case will transgender students be denied the right to participate in overnight events because of the student's transgender status. 4.3. In the case of overnight trips sponsored by the district, any student participating may select an alternative assignments. 4.3.1. Room assignments will be made at least 2 weeks in advance. 4.3.2. Students will be assigned to 3 to a room or 4 to a room. 4.3.3. Students will not be denied a sleeping room assignment on the account of their transgender status. 4.3.4. Students and/or parents/guardians may request for a change in room assignment. Now, the rest of what I'm about to say is my opinions and not stuff stated by the article that I'm referencing and the just facts of the events that unfolded. Personally, I think this is a really bad thing. Number one, we've seen this in other areas in the United States. I think there was a case in Virginia earlier this year where there was some sexual assault stuff that resulted with different genders being able to mix based on the transgender policy and different stuff with locker rooms and things. I personally think this is wrong because there are definitely two genders and that's it. You have male and you have female. You're either one or the other, and you were born that way, and you cannot change that based on your preferences that you have mentally in any form or any way. That is my belief. That is backed up by scripture, and I think that's backed up quite well by biology and the way that we are designed and made at birth. With that said, I really hope that people fight this and this doesn't come to case in the system. It's perpetuating a lie. At one point, we considered this to be a psychological condition, something that was not good. This was not right for one to have, and that they needed help, not because they were a horrible person or not because they were bad or whatever else, but because they needed help, that they had something askew in their mind and they were thinking in a way that wasn't in line with the way that God intended for creation to work and intended for their body and for their gender to work. But with that said, we'll move on to the next story here. Next one here is Moving Trucks and Idaho. This comes by the Coeur d'Alene / Post-Fall Press by Joseph Snow. So let's start with some good news for all us Idahoans here. We're not the fastest growing state in the union anymore. Now, the bad part, we're still the second fastest growing state in the union. Based on the U.S. Census Bureau from 2010 to 2020, we were the second fastest growing state, and based on reports from U-Haul, that is still continuing into 2022. According to a press release from U-Haul, quote, overall moving traffic slowed throughout the U.S. but remained busy in the Gem State in 2020. The data shows that trucks taking a one-way trip to Idaho increased by 4% over 2021, and departures rose by 5%. The last figure is interesting. Granted, areas like Coeur d'Alene were less, not greater. With that said, it still ranks 8th in the nation for growth in 2019. Some other interesting data is that U-Haul traffic to Idaho ranks 10th in the nation. The top growing cities in Idaho were Nampa, Coeur d'Alene, Meridian, Twin Falls, and Post Falls. Granted, the first three held the lead, but Twin Falls and Post Falls have seen major growth compared to the other ones. Lastly, according to U-Haul, this last year is down compared to 2020, which means things may be cooling down in the housing and moving market. For all us Idahoans out there that may be trying to get a place like myself, that is definitely encouraging to hear, but also not on the other hand. It is kind of cool to see some of that data, and also kind of staggering to think that little old Idaho would be such a big part of U-Haul stuff. But then again, if we're just growing and we're continuing to grow and the rest of the country isn't, and there's other economic woes, I could totally see where that makes up the lion's share of all their stuff. But still, interesting data to see. Some of it may be a little sad to hear, but still overall very interesting to hear about. Next one is nice, short, and simple. Idaho snowpack is 120% better than last year. This comes by KTVB7 by the staff there. According to the Idaho Department of Water and Resources, Idaho is seeing above average snowpack levels. Places south of the Salmon River are seeing 120% better snowpack than normal. With that said, that doesn't mean that there is enough yet. Only Boise and Paya areas are getting good water supply. According to sources at KTVB7, we won't know if we have enough for the whole state until the end of January or February. So here's praying that we'll get more snow. As much as we may not like that, and the snow and everything can be a nuisance, we want more of it. We want those dams filled, especially for power, for water, and especially for my AC when it gets 105 out. That is not fun when it's hot and there's no AC. So please, more water, more, so that we can generate enough power through the hydro and different stuff. And then also for the agriculture as well, because then it'll bring down our costs for food and groceries and different things, because it'll just be cheaper. But encouraging to hear that we're doing so well thus far with snow and stuff, and hopefully that continues to occur and we get plenty of snow. Meridian improves new apartment and retail project. This comes by the Boise Dev by Autumn Robertsons. So Meridian is working on some new stuff around the village. Plans for an expansion to the Meridian Village seem to be moving forward. The added expansion would include hundreds of apartments, more retail space, and a sky bridge. It was proposed in November but put down by the Planning and Zoning Commission. But during the first year meeting of the Meridian City Council, they motioned to approve the project, despite some of the concerns that the Planning and Zoning had with the parking and height of it. According to the application from Central CAL LLC, the building would go as high as 85 feet, which is higher than the 65 feet that the area is zoned for. The company argued against it due to the fact that the village itself, its dome, is 78 feet tall, which breaks the rule, but it was allowed to be built. The city council also agreed with the company on the height being fine for the location. The second concern that the Planning and Zoning Commission had was parking. They feared when it was built that there wouldn't be enough parking spaces left over for all the people that would be involved in the apartments and different things. According to the building company, there would be at least 600 spaces in excess when was all said and done. But in the article, the council did not comment on that parking related thing, but they might have. If approved, the Central Cal says that they anticipate to start construction this year and be done in 30 months, which is crazy to think. I mean, for me, maybe I'm always used to kind of reading stuff for the podcast here that's like government related and thinking about really long timelines because bureaucracy moves so slow often. But 30 months sounds pretty crazy to have this all done. It also seems like the stuff around the village is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's kind of becoming this weird kind of like big central hub up there with kind of like some of the stuff in Boise. But still cool. I think the village is cool, and I think this might seem really cool. I mean, it'd be interesting to go see if they made that sky bridge or whatever. I couldn't tell from the article if it's going to go over a main road somewhere or if it's just going to be next to a main road and you can kind of drive under it or whatever. But kind of makes for a cool experience and everything. It will be interesting to see as this progresses if it continues or doesn't. I mean, right now it looks like it will, but there's a lot of things that look like they will, but then they don't. So we'll just have to see. Next one is Meridian Amazon Warehouse. This comes by the Boise Dev by Donde. So apparently last summer, Amazon built another large building in Meridian. It was touted as bringing hundreds of jobs at least $15 an hour wage. But after it was finished, it sat for several months. People have been wondering if it will ever come to life or it was a false promise. According to the Wall Street Journal, in May, Amazon, quote, attempted to shed more warehouse space following a slowdown the company has experienced in its e-commerce operations. This could be one of those places and an example of why nothing has happened. The Boise Dev reached out to Amazon, but they have not replied as of the writing of this. Interesting to hear. I know Amazon just seems to be this unstoppable force that keeps growing and everything, but then his stuff in the economy's kind of been a little shaky and weird lately. I could totally see where this is the case. People are buying less online and they're just like, well, did we really want to spend that amount of money on that thing? Well, we built it, but then again, it's cheaper to just let it sit there than it is to actually have people working in it. So maybe we won't do that and all this stuff. And then we're kind of, trying to not lay off people. And so we might add them and then we might actually end up laying off. Now that looks really bad for PR and different stuff. And we really don't want that. So that might be what's going on. It will be interesting to see. From the article, I couldn't tell. There was a part where they were talking about maybe some land stuff. I couldn't tell if they sold it or if it's still in the ownership of Amazon or whatever else. But there just seems to be a weird thing going on there. It'll be interesting to see how it progresses. Barbacoa team is working on a waterfront restaurant. This comes by the Boise Dev by Donde. So I haven't been to this restaurant before, but after reading this, I might have to go to one of them. Nikolai Castoro owns a popular restaurant called Barbacoa and Coa del Gima. The first one, Barbacoa, is in southeast Boise since 2005. The second one opened last year in downtown Boise and focuses more on a Mexican-inspired foods. Well, the cool thing is that they're planning a third restaurant. This one will be called Coa del Mar. His father and him talked about it, but it was cut short by, sadly, his dad passing away due to COVID. This caused him, quote, my father passed away and COVID hit, and I had to stop to focus on Barbacoa and my family and going from there. But a friend of his reached out and said that the land that they were looking at was still available, so he decided to go for it. Coa del Mar will be a Latin style, but with some seafood twist to it. It will be along the pond by Riverside Drive. The hope is to have it open by next May. The restaurant will be about 10,000 square feet. It also sounds like they're going to have some interesting interior elements for the restaurant. They're having a gentleman from the Boise Art Glass make a centerpiece chandelier, which should be pretty cool. I mean, the more I read about this, it sounds very interesting. I'd have to see how much it would cost and if it would be within my budget. But this sounds like really cool place. I mean, I haven't been to the original one, other twos that are already open, but it sounds like some great food. And if he's able to open 3 now, it looks like, I mean, that must mean it's running pretty well. That or, it's a racket for the price. I don't know. But it'll be cool to see the images. I mean, you can go look at the article and there's some like mock-up images of what the restaurant will look like. It kind of like almost floats over the water there, the kind of like a deck thing, enclosed deck. So you kind of will just be out there in the water, which would be pretty cool if the food's good. So combination of all those things, good food, and wonderful view, probably would make for a wonderful experience. Next one is Boise Airport doing good. This comes by the Boise Dev by Margaret Carmel. This last year, 2022, the Boise Airport broke more records. Passenger counts were 9% higher than 2019 records. Also, according to the airport, everything else is doing well. The revenue from passengers, car rental, parking fees, and flight sizes. The airport director said that the growth that they saw before COVID-19 has kept going and has not stopped. COVID did see a drop, but after it, the recovery has been stronger than they expected. Now, one might think the growth has to do with an increase of people flying in and out of Boise, which is probably happening to a certain effect. But with that said, it comes down to the bigger planes coming in and out of the airport, thus allowing for cheaper seats and greater value. One thing to add that I thought that was worth sharing is the fact that the airport also got $20 million in federal grants related to pandemic relief. Overall, with this story, I could totally see it. I mean, I've flown more in the past couple years than I have in the past. Not this year in particular. I actually did a big road trip going back east. but I could totally see more people flying. You got people that are moving into the state that then have lots of family out of state that are then either flying in or they're flying out. I know they say it doesn't have to do with a lot of people in state, but I get what they're saying with the more bigger airlines, so all those connecting flights and stuff that are coming through and stuff, and that might just be because the airplane industry has kind of been so volatile with their logistics and everything, and so they're like, well, normally I would end up in Vegas, but Boise's still working and good, so I'm just going to land there because they can handle me and they're actually open and working. So I could totally see that being the case. But it is cool to see that it's growing and it's doing well, and hopefully they'll be able to add more parking and make it easier for everyone else and a more enjoyable experience. Not that it's bad. I will admit, out of all the airports I've been in, the Boise airport is very nice, very simple, not very big rush, and I know where to get around usually. But then again, it is my home airport, so I should know how to get around it. Cascade Lake world record holder. This comes by the Boise Dev by Ann Daly. So I don't know how many of you have been ice fishing, let alone fished on Cascade Lake, but I gotta say, if you haven't already, please do it. As the article goes into, Cascade has been racking up many records over the years, thus making it a prized destination for ice fishermen. Back in 2014, a 12-year-old girl caught a 2-pound perch, which gave her the world record for the largest perch caught on a tip-up. I'll explain that later. Then last year, a man from Wisconsin caught the heaviest perch at 3.22 pounds. Now, with those numbers, you might think that, it's not really a big deal. That's not really large, but perch normally are not near that size. They are considered a small fish, so to have a fish that large is quite surprising. But getting back to my explanation about tip-ups, the difference between like the normal form of fishing and then when you go ice fishing as tip-ups is that usually a tip-up is a type of fishing article that you have like a piece of wood lengthwise, and then you have a wire that you connect on both ends, kind of in a V formation. And then one end has the line that goes into the water, and then the other end has a flag that pops up. And then you kind of have it perfectly balanced that when you set it down in its normal weight, it won't fall over. But if a fish pulls on it or grabs it, then the flag will pop up and the pole line will go down into the hole. And then you know there's a fish on the line. It's kind of a lazy man's way of doing ice fishing. It's the way that I usually do it when I go out with family and different stuff to go ice fishing up in McCall. And it makes it really fun because you can make like 100, 200 of those things at home or whatever. And then when you go ice fishing, you just have a gas-powered auger and you drill a bunch of holes. You put them out there. And then you just sit around with a food table and a bunch of other people and eat and talk. And then whichever tip-up thing goes up, everyone's in a mad dash to get it. And the first one that gets there gets the fish. That way, if there's someone who didn't bring their own gear, then they get a chance to enjoy in the fishing and everything. But yeah, ice fishing, I would argue personally, is one of the laziest forms of fishing, which isn't a bad thing. I quite like it, especially in the winter. It's kind of a nice thing to socialize and get out and see the beauty of it all, and then also get to go fishing as well. I personally have not caught perch in Cascade Lake, but as you can hear from the article here, it seems to be some pretty big record holders for the lake there, which good on them. I hope that Wisconsin guy was quite excited about catching that 3.22 pound perch. That is crazy. So maybe this year if you can, or maybe when you're up there for the McCall Ice Festival, drop by the lake and take a little bit of fishing. Or that if the lake is thick enough, you could also do some ATV riding on it. That is super fun. Super fun to go do that. Except for you can always tell when you were like where there was people that had done ice fishing before when you're driving on it, because you'll be driving and it'll be nice and smooth and like me, and then all of a sudden you hear an area like blah, 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 blah. That's all the holes that were left over from everyone drilling and auging, I should say, to put their tip-ups in. Albertsons trying out different checkouts. This comes by the Boise Dev by Donde. So Albertsons is trying out some new checkouts. They're self-checkouts, but they're more beefed up than the normal ones. In short, they only have checkouts now, but there's no limit. Plus, if you have a hard time doing it yourself, if you need help, or checking out is just a little hard, each machine has a checker assist button that will call a person to come over and help you with it, or just do it all together with you if you need that. With that said, there will be lanes for assisted and ones for non-assist, so you can kind of choose if you want to be part of that program, or if you just want the normal type of system that they've had in the past and stuff. Granted, this is just rolling out to certain select Albertsons. I don't have it in my notes here. I probably should have put that in there. That's on me for that one. But they're not all of them. They're kind of testing it. It's a pilot program, kind of similar to some Walmarts. I know the Walmart in Boise is kind of like this, where they kind of got rid of all their people checkouts, and then it's just all self checkouts. I will admit the one Walmart in Boise is just always like eerily quiet, and I don't kind of like it. I mean, self checkouts are nice. I'm not saying those bad. I usually do those myself because I don't have a lot of stuff to check out. But it will be interesting to see how this works out. I mean, if one of you are ending up at one of the Albertsons that has this, maybe send me an email or a tweet and let me know what you thought of it. What did you like? What did you not like? And then maybe we can talk about it next week. Here's the last one, the fun one, which is interesting statistical facts about Idaho. This comes by the Idaho Mountain Express by Greg Foley. So the Idaho Department of Labor released its late December report related to Idaho over the past year. This also is connected to some national surveys. I have kind of 7 kind of hit points here you can go through. There's some other ones that they had in the article and stuff, so if you want to go and see some other ones, but these are the ones that kind of just jumped out at me that I thought I would share. Number 1, Idaho has one of the youngest medium ages in the nation. We rank 7th for age in the nation at a medium age of 36.8 years old, with the medium age nationally being 38.4. Thought that was interesting. The more I kind of think about it, I guess it makes sense because Idaho is also kind of ranks really high up there with athletic stuff, and usually most people that are doing athletic things are usually younger, but then you also need to be old enough to afford the property prices and different stuff here and know what you're doing in the mountainous areas. So I could see where that 36.8-year-old age kind of lands in there about right. Number 2, the median age of people moving to Idaho is actually younger. It is at 28.9 years old, which I could see. Still very interesting. Number 3, the amount of Idahoans working from home increased from 5.9% to 9.2% over this last year, which is kind of interesting to see, to be expected. Kind of with COVID and everything, a lot of companies were like, well, why do we need these, office spaces right at home? So let's just open that up. Number 4, the average commuting time in Idaho increased from 20.4 minutes to 21.2 minutes. To be expected, more people, more traffic. We all hate it, but hey, look at it. It was just one more minute. That's not bad, right? Yeah. It doesn't help at all. Number 5, 8.3% of Idaho's population moved within the same county over 2017 to 2021. The national rate for movement for that actually is 7.4%, so we're about 1% more than the national average rate. In short, if you didn't quite understand what that was, it's basically the fact that, like, in Idaho, the amount of people that just kind of moved around in the same general area to a different house or somewhere was reasonably more movement. Number 6, the number of households in Idaho grew by 8.2%, an increase of 56 households, which is to be expected. More people moving in. I'm assuming they're not all single, so makes sense. And lastly, number 7, the estimated population in Idaho was at 1.94 million in 2022. On into the quickies. First one here is Moscow murder suspect found with DNA match. Just a quick one here. Comes by KTVB7 by Alexandria Dugan. So a quick update on the Moscow murder. As we talked about this last week, they have a suspect in custody. They have now released more details of why they suspect him for the murder. First off, they identified a white sedan leaving the area at a high rate of speed around 4:20 a.m. They then identified the car as a Hyundai Elantra and found a car matching it driving through WSU campus at 2:53 a.m. traveling towards Moscow. Then the car was seen again in Pullman around 5:27 a.m. They found that the car had a Pennsylvania license plate and looked up the owner, who's the man currently in custody. They also stated that his phone's history stated that he had been around the King Road area a dozen times and near the road around 9 a.m. on November 13th. Lastly, they shared that they have a DNA match that is 99.99998% a match of his. Granted, according to them, it is, quote, not being excluded that it could be the biological father. Courthouse flooding. This comes by the Bonner Ferry Herald. The author is unknown. Last Tuesday, January 30th, staff at the Boundary County District Court in Bonner's Ferry came back to the courthouse after the holiday break. They discovered flooding. A toilet located in the basement had broke and was leaking. It had traveled 10 feet and into the prosecutor's office. The damages are currently being fixed. New Lookout at Lookout Pass. This comes by the Shoshone News Press by Joseph Snow. Lookout Pass finished Chair 5 to Eagle Peak Summit and is officially open for the season. This new summit is 500 feet higher than the original Runt Mountain Summit. Winco sells Meridian construction site. This comes by the Boise Dev by Autumn Robertsons. For the past couple of years, Winco was going back and forth about building another Winco in South Meridian, but it appears that has been scrapped. According to the 80 County property transfer records, Winco sold the property they were going to work on last summer. Eagle Mayor and Council recall failed. This comes by the Boise Dev by Margaret Carmel. As the name implies, the recall that was happening in Eagle to recall the mayor and city council has failed. The group behind it was not able to reach the roughly 4,300 signatures required by December 27th. The group said they are not releasing how many signatures they got because they blame the lack of planning and the signature gathering happening during the holiday season. 10 avalanches triggered in Idaho. This comes by KTVB7 by Shira Matsuzawa. Over the past week, 10 natural or human-triggered avalanches have been recorded, according to Sawtooth Avalanche Center. The avalanches happened around Galena Peak, and most of them were triggered remotely, not by people or animals actually being on the slopes that would have caused the avalanche. Improvements to the Traverse Park. This comes by the Bonner County Daily Bee. The author is unknown. The city of Sandpoint hosted an open house January 5th talking about improvements to the Traverse Park. From the picture provided, you can go check that in the link. Looks like they would be adding more parking and 3 baseball diamonds. Check it out if you're interested. Armed man on Boise Connector. This comes by KTVB7 by staff. Last Tuesday at 9:40 a.m., dispatch was called about a man walking on the westbound lanes of the connector. Idaho State Police responded to the call. The police said they approached a 48-year-old man who refused their commands and pulled a weapon on them. The officer discharged his weapon. The man was taken to the hospital and treated for his injuries. He is currently booked in at the Ada County Jail. New Idaho HOA Act. This comes by the Boise Dev by Donde. The Idaho legislature has revamped the state's laws on HOAs. The bill passed in the House with 63 in favor, 3 against, and the Senate with 34 for and 1 against. The following cannot be enforced by HOAs. 1. Solar panels cannot be prohibited, though some rules on location and, quote, reasonable restrictions on design are allowed. 2. Political signs cannot be outlawed on homeowners' property unless threatening public health and safety or are occupied by sound or music. 3. Flags of the state, the U.S., branches of the military, or POW/MIA cannot be prohibited. The code sets forth a number of stipulations, though. 4. HOAs cannot add restrictions on rentals for properties without the agreement in writing of the property owner. However, if the restriction is a covenant, the conditions and restrictions is signed by the property which is purchased, they are valid and enforceable. Idaho Falls warning about potholes. This comes by the East Idaho News by staff. Idaho Falls is dealing with some potholes due to the weather conditions taking a toll on the roads. The city is aware of problematic areas, including the Pancherry Drive Bridge. To report potholes to the Idaho Falls Division, call 208-612-8490 or go to their website. Lastly, new park talked about by Boise Mayor. This comes by KTVB7 by Emily White. Boise Mayor Lauren McLean has proposed using funds from the Open Space and Clean Waters Levy Fund to create a new park on Shamrock Street in West Boise. The proposal will be put before the City Council this week. If I missed something, got something wrong, or you have some advice for the show, then send me an email at localyokelidaho2002@gmail.com or tweet me at localyokelidaho on Twitter. For right now, this show is just a one-man show, so I can't afford to go over everything, but I hope I can cover as many things as possible. Thank you for your help and support. That's all for now, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Godspeed.